I'm Ronnie. All the good names are taken. Podcast. Tim's here. 31 days. Day 7, Tim. Why the hell you wearing a hat?
Because I'm the captain of the ship, Ronnie. If it wasn't for me, this crap wouldn't be rolling.
Anybody in the comments, if you know how to turn your phone off sleep mode faster, let us know. Tim, day 7, I threw one out that I watched in the movie theater.
God, you saw this. You saw this live. Like you
Tim,
saw this when it came out. Okay.
At one point, I think I was going to 2 movies every Friday. I would catch the 7 and the 10.
Right.
And between 98, 99, and 2000, I got a lot of movies watched.
God, that's not a great time to be going to the movies. Like, what are your top 3 from that time period? Was anything worth the crap?
No, it was all horrible.
Okay.
Nothing stood out.
All right.
I mean, here we are. We're talking Lake Placid. A movie that I remembered being very good. And don't get me wrong, it has its moments where you're like, what the hell? And as a 18 or 19-year-old, I remember thinking, okay, they're trying to redo Jaws. They're trying to use a crocodile or alligator, whatever the hell it's supposed to be, a crocodile.
Was this received well?
Well, it had like a $27 million budget, Tim. It made like $57 million. It spawned like 4 direct to cable or video, whatever you call them, sequels. I've never seen any of the other ones besides this one. With some of the stuff coming out, I think they were just looking for a new franchise, a new monster franchise, and they figured giant crocodile. Let's go for it.
So what is this what's your preferred horror movie? Since you're the expert, you do this 31 days of horror every year. Do you like creature based or do you like suspense? Like, do you like monster based, not creature based? Like, do you want there to be a monster in there, like a giant crocodile, or do you want like a Michael Myers?
Well, I'm open to anything as long as it's good. I mean, I like creature movies. I like zombie movies. I like the Michael Myers type movies where you got the guy that's stalking everybody. I mean, I like alien based, the movies where they're just like in a room and the suspense outside of not knowing what's out there. As long as it's like, if it catches my attention, I don't care what it's about, as long as it's a good movie. And after like 20 years revisiting Lake Placid, I'm not sure. I think this is a movie that's marketed and put out for early 20s and teenagers, because as an adult, as a 50-year-old now, I'm sitting here going, what is this?
It's barely a horror movie. It's barely a horror movie.
It's not a horror movie. I mean, technically, according to our standards, as long as IMDb lists it as a horror movie, we use it. But you're absolutely right. This is more of like it's a
character-driven movie where they got a bunch of actors and the characters are terrible. It's character-driven and the characters are terrible. Why is it that every few years you have your Oliver Platt guy he gets a bunch of solid roles in movies and he's terrible? Like, none of them age well.
I'm going to say this a lot in this review. I remember his character being funny.
Oh.
And now this guy is sad. I mean,
it's bad. I feel like they paid him the most out of all of these actors, and you're basically just paying him to be Oliver Platt.
Yeah,
he's the same guy in every movie, and it's terrible.
They gave him like the goofiest insults. Like, he calls the sheriff, "Hey, you're fat." He's fatter than the sheriff.
Worst character, Oliver Platt or the sheriff who has this weird hang up on sarcasm?
Okay, so we're going down my list right now.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry, I don't want to get ahead.
No, you're doing perfect.
Right.
The sheriff, and I'll come back to Oliver Platt. The sheriff, he's in Braveheart. He's one of the main guys with Mel Gibson in Braveheart. He's in 28 Days Later. I like him in a lot of the movies that he's in.
What happened here?
It's like they told him, here are your lines. I don't know this actor's name. Here are your lines. And they didn't tell him what sarcasm was.
No, he has no idea. He has zero clue what sarcasm is.
Like, he has the most sarcastic lines in the movie because he's the asshole sarcastic sheriff.
Well, it's the running joke. It's always him and sarcasm. They set that up super hard in the beginning.
But he doesn't know how to do sarcasm. Like, what should have been one of the funniest lines in the movie is when they're all in the boat, or they're they're packing up at the gas station, and Bridget Fonda has showed up and Bill Pullman's there, and she's like, we're going to be staying in tents. And like, he's steadily loading her stuff up, and he goes, oh God, I forgot to pack the feminine napkins. But he delivers it in a way that's, oh God, I forgot to deliver
his delivery is the absolute dirt worst. Like when after he's hanging upside down and he comes back up and like, remember, you promised you wouldn't hurt him. I lied. And he like ran out. I was like, dude, come on. Like, sell your part. This guy's terrible. There is not a good actor in this movie. Is it Jane Fonda?
No, it's Bridget Fonda.
Bridget Fonda. She's terrible. She's terrible.
Yeah, she's horrible. I think they were trying to capitalize off of her Tarantino movie where she was the surfer girl. And I think they were going for, she's the hot woman that's the professor. But the problem with that is, Tim, and you may disagree, she's not hot. So all you have is a librarian looking person, a plain Jane, if you will, that's going through there just being annoying.
They want you to feel bad for her because she's getting kicked out because of a hotter woman.
Yes.
But if you want her to be the hot chick in your horror movie, which horror movies love, I'm not being sexist here. If you're directing a horror movie, you get the hot chick. But if she's already second best 5 seconds into her intro, what are you doing? What are you doing?
She's horrible in the movie, by the way. Here's one, Tim, and you may not be familiar with this guy's work. This is more of a question for Blake, but he's not here. Bill Pullman is in this movie. Is Bill Pullman a good actor, or did he pull the wool over our eyes in Independence Day with that great role as the president? Because he's bad in this movie.
He Dennis Quaided the crap out of everybody, where you're in some stuff and they're like, he might be good. Is he like a handsome leading man type? But no, the answer is no.
He's not a good actor, I don't think.
He's this weird knockoff Indiana Jones type where you feel like he should be in a spoof movie. Like, you're not supposed to take him seriously.
Like Spaceballs.
Exactly.
In a movie like Spaceballs.
Exactly. All right, there we go.
I'm a huge Bill Pullman fan. And by a huge Bill Pullman fan, I mean I'm a huge Independence Day fan, and he's a big part of that movie. But in every other movie he's been in, I haven't been impressed with Bill Pullman. Now, hit me in the comments with what's a movie I can watch besides Spaceballs and Independence Day that I'm going to love Bill Pullman. While You Were Sleeping with Sandra Bullock, I mean, I don't know. I was left thinking, watching this as a 55-year-old man, that they all needed cash. Oliver Platt, here, just take some money, Mr. Platt, and come in here and make these lame jokes for us. They had him as a sex symbol. All these women wanting to have sex with him, I guess, because of his money.
Yeah.
The British guy who plays the sheriff. Here, come be the sarcastic sheriff. Oh, wait, you don't know sarcasm.
Right.
Bridget Fonda, we're hoping you're the next big female lead. We're going to get you in here, and you're going to be the annoying chick. And then, hey, we got Bill Pullman here. He's the main star. Is he really? Because what they managed to do was like split the airtime with everybody in this movie that nobody feels like the main lead. I know everybody's going to say Bill Pullman and Bridget Fonda are the lead, but they don't have maximum airtime over those other two.
Since it's so character driven, because they basically want you to forget about this cool giant croc they got. Like, it's the lamest horror movie at selling their creature ever. But like, he's a NPC. He's a side character. Like, he doesn't even do anything of note. He has no cool lines. He's just there.
Like, going back to the sheriff, Betty White somehow manages to be the worst character out of all of them.
God, they just keep coming. They just threw a bunch of names at you and gave them the worst roles they could possibly think of.
What is Hollywood's fascination with, we're going to have they started this in the 70s. We're going to have an old woman that's going to use all the foul language and all the sexual innuendo, and she's just going to say stuff that blows your mind. The problem is it's 1999. We're Gen X, baby. We're used to everybody saying stuff like this. So Betty White cursing out the sheriff and calling everybody F-wads or whatever she called them, it just came off as lame. It really came off as lame, but it did provide the best line of the movie from the sheriff. Whenever they were like, did your husband, was he killed? And the sheriff goes, was he swallowed?
That was pretty good. That was probably his best moment.
I mean, you find out Betty White is leading her cows out to the lake for this crocodile just to eat, and that's a pretty cool scene, by the way.
Yeah.
But Lake Placid, unbelievable. Tim, anything you want to talk about with this movie?
So this was before I thought this was going to be just a straight up horror movie with high production values.
Yeah.
Because at the opening scene, I was getting ready to complain about like cheap movie stuff. Like when he's looking in the nest, like the beaver dam nest or whatever, and he's clearly in a like studio pool, like when you look down on him, and when the croc comes to get him, like there's no darkness behind him. Like there's nothing there. Like the angle that the croc's taken is coming up behind him. That's what the camera tells us. But when it shoots to him, there's nothing there. And I was like, oh, okay, well, this is going to happen a lot. There's going to be some real crappy scenes like this. That's the first, like it takes another 40 minutes for the croc to even do anything.
Yeah.
Like horror movie deaths, we usually talk about kills. Like, what's your favorite kill? Like maybe 3 people die from this crocodile, possibly.
Like if you ask me what most horror fans are going to say their favorite kill would probably be the very beginning of it when the guy gets bitten in half, because that's your Jaws moment. We don't know what's down there, but something bit a diver in half. But if you ask me, Ronnie, what's your favorite kill? I'm going to say when we first see what the crocodile looks like when he kills the random grizzly bear that runs out of nowhere.
They really had to shoehorn that bear in there.
Yeah, like the bear comes running out. Instead of attacking the people, he runs past the people, turns his back to the water, and then boom, there's the crocodile who grabs him.
The crocodile. So 2 things right here. I was very unimpressed by the size of this thing, right? Like he shows up, takes the bear, and I'm like, there's probably alligators or crocodiles that big in real life. Like, I mean, it's not a monster. Like they say it's 30 feet long. They're lying. Like I saw it in the movie. Like that's just a figure you threw out. And they don't keep it consistent through the movie.
No, I agree. Because some scenes, the crocodile looks like it's the biggest thing on the planet.
When it's stuck in the helicopter, you're like, oh my God, this thing, where was this at the whole movie?
And then it's on the back of a flatbed trailer that we know how big is. And like you said, they've put alligators on the back of flatbed trailers that cover them up. So it seems like sometimes the gator's this big, sometimes the gator is that big. You okay? You having a stroke? What's going on?
I was trying to read my notes and also adjust my headphones. So I'm back. I'm good.
All right. What's your next note?
Dude, the only note I have is my worst Oliver Platt joke.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, my worst Oliver Platt joke is when they're. Can
you do an Oliver Platt impression?
I can't on the spot. I'm sorry. You should have let me know beforehand, and I could have practiced.
I looked into his eyes, and I saw pure whatever. I don't know.
Did she tell you we had sex together? It was vigorous. Like that is such an off-putting line.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if that's just because it's 2023 now, and I'm like, super sensitive. Yes. No, I'm like, how dare he speak to her that way? She's a professional, but it's just super lame. Like you're trying to set this dude up as what, like a sexual predator? Like, am I supposed to like this man? And you are. They want you to like Oliver Platt
really badly. They want you to think he's a Playboy millionaire, and then he shows up and he looks like Oliver Platt.
I can't get off of Oliver Platt. I'm supposed to be reviewing Lake Placid, And Oliver Platt is all I can think about.
If Clooney shows up or Val Kilmer in 1998, I can believe that's a billionaire playboy.
God, what was Kilmer doing in 98? What was he coming off of?
He was coming off of Batman Forever.
Yeah.
Oh wait, that was 95. Whatever.
Yeah.
He was close. He was close to it though.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's dead now. Or is he?
I think he's still alive. He was in Top Gun, right?
Yeah, I think it was CGI. Edit. We got to get. That's probably two people are attached to that.
God, this movie is this the worst movie we've ever had to review? It has nothing noteworthy in it. No, but we could at least talk about bad things in other movies, like Lake Placid. Somebody comes up to you and says, "What's the most noteworthy thing about Lake Placid?" What do you tell them?
I'm going to say this.
All right.
Because we like to keep this podcast positive. I don't want to trash any movies. I say this. Right. The scenery is great. The score is great. The setting, the idea of a giant crocodile in a lake that's secluded where only a set of old people live is a good idea.
Does the movie execute that idea though?
I think the movie executes the fact that there's a giant killer crocodile, but somewhere along the lines, the game warden, the lady from the museum, and the billionaire playboy who wants to swim with crocodiles because he thinks they're godly decide that even though this animal has killed multiple people, we need to trap it and save it instead of kill it. And I think the basis for most creature horror movies is that creature kills innocent people, people kill creature. That way we get the satisfaction at the end of, hey, we're the human race. We just took down another edit. But no, the last thing we see in this movie is the gator's still, the crocodile's still alive, and we're taking it to live in a tank. That thing. Edit.
It shows how bad the movie is that the thing's killed 2 deputies and the local cops are not even that, like, they're like, yeah, sure, creature can totally roam free. If that thing kills 2 cops, the thing's gonna die.
Yeah, they're throwing like
how much better are the direct-to-video sequels probably than this movie as far as a horror movie that would be a horror movie? I bet they're great.
We'll have to watch them, Tim. After October's over, me and you will watch them. I bet the visual effects in the sequels are 10 times worse than they are in this movie.
Yes.
Because this movie had an actual budget, almost $30 million.
But how many times did we see the crocodile?
Like 5?
Maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
At the
Most
end,
of it at the end.
I love the CGI of the crocodile chasing the truck at the end of it.
Well, that was number 3.
It was so many instances where they give you the Jaws moment where they dive into the water and they make you think something's coming and it never attacks.
And there's no payoff.
Yeah.
Dude, this chick, like this Fonda lady, she falls off the boat. She falls off the truck. She should be dead.
Yeah.
This is the worst crocodile ever. I think is that's my final verdict. This is the worst crocodile in the history of giant crocodiles.
They're at the very end. The sheriff gets some kind of plasma rifle that the T-800 was talking about in Terminator.
Right.
And he's wanting to use his big gun. And they trap the giant crocodile. And then all of a sudden, another giant crocodile shows up and the sheriff blasts it with his ray gun.
Yes.
And it just blows it into smithereens.
It's a super effective weapon.
Like, where did he get this weapon?
Dude,
and why are we using it on criminals?
Dude, that's in that where was this supposed to be? Maine?
Yeah, it was set in Maine. And then before he blows up that crocodile, he has another sarcastic line, or at least I think it's supposed to be sarcasm, where he's like pointing the gun and he's like, for some reason I feel like everything is just perfectly safe.
Dude. And he deadpans all of those lines. He's got multiple lines like that, especially on that end scene where they were like, hey, bro, be sarcastic. Has no idea. He thinks sarcastic means show no emotion. And that's his character of the whole movie. God, it's so terrible. There's not a best character in this movie. The movie wants you to care about all these people, and there's not a single likable person the entire time.
He punches Oliver Platt in the face, breaks his nose, but that doesn't bother him as bad as them calling him a wacko for wanting to swim with the shark. Like, he's staring at the shark. Probably the coolest scene in the movie, besides the bear getting eaten, is Oliver Platt's face-to-face with this crocodile, and so he can let that crocodile judge him. And he releases like a raft to take the crocodile's attention so he can escape. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
God, this is terrible.
Lake Placid.
This is terrible.
Rate it, Tim.
Oh, Jesus. It's a 2 out of 10.
There's no way.
I was going to give it a 0, but you can't give a movie with these production values a 0. Like, as far as horror movies go, especially ones that are the first of something, or it's the first one, like, you got to give them a lot of leeway because they're usually cheap. This one looks nice, but there's nothing I like about this movie. It's not scary. It has no characters I like, and not in the I don't like them, but they're going to die. Like, this movie's terrified to kill people. They're having a horror movie, and they're terrified to kill people in their horror movie. They definitely wanted this to get a specific rating. Like, they were very careful not to kill a bunch of people because they had Oliver Platt and all of these people, and they wanted this to be slightly mainstream, and the result is just a terrible movie. It's a 2 out of 10.
This is a rated R movie, Tim.
God, this was rated for what?
My guess is the person being bitten in half, the sheriff that gets his head bitten off. All throughout the movie, they're finding body parts. So,
God, but that was real soft. Like, I've seen much worse. God, if this got an R, then there's no reason why they didn't kill more than 3 people.
Yeah, well, I think, like you said, they didn't have the courage to kill off Pullman and Bridget Fonda. Those guys are getting together right off the bat.
Oliver Platt's character is made to be killed. He's the cocky know-it-all guy that gets his comeuppance, right?
Yes, he should have died, because the whole thing is he sees them as godly and they judge people. He's lived a scumbag life.
Do you think he forced them to change the script? Like, he was supposed to die, and then they got Oliver Platt for the part, and he was like, well, I'll do it, but I don't want to die.
I could totally see that happening, because the crocodile should have judged him and eaten him, because
the scene where the helicopter's crashed is when Oliver Platt is supposed to die. Like, that's his death scene.
I could see the better death for Oliver Platt would be sacrificing himself when both him and Bridget Fonda are on the helicopter so she can swim away. That would have been the best way to...
A redemption death, yeah.
Or to save the sheriff instead of the sheriff saving him. So there you go with that. But I think they put a bunch of actors together, and it should have worked. And maybe that's the reason why it did work a little, because Bill Pullman's Bill Pullman and Oliver Platt's Oliver Platt, and they were able to make you forget about this.
There's no way you give this more than 5 stars.
Well, the CGI is not very good, but it was 1998 or 1999. Maybe it was 2000. I don't know. I'm thinking like 5.3 out of 10.
You just did that because I said so. You went with the 0.3.
5.3 out of 10.
Due to CGI.
I can't believe you're giving this a 2.
This is hard. You should never watch it. Like, as our listeners go through the 31 days of horror on ATG and AT, they should watch all of the movies except this one. This is a waste of your time. You don't need to know what we're talking about here. We've covered everything in depth.
Not only are people that are watching this, they've already seen Lake Placid countless times.
Right.
They're disagreeing with us right now because they were charmed by the sheriff, by Bill Pullman, and by Oliver Platt.
Those people don't exist.
I guarantee you we'll see it in the comments that we made this movie out. Look, and I'm not like Tim. This is not a bad movie. I can watch Lake Placid all day long. But when you start breaking it down, it does have issues. At the end, we're supposed to be happy that Betty White is feeding more crocodiles. We're going to have bigger crocodiles. It leads to the question, how many giant crocodiles are in that lake? Because who had those babies? Tons of questions. 5.3?
It says 5.3.
Bill Pullman, Oliver Platt. Y'all go check it out. Hit us in the comments. How wrong is Tim about his opinion of this movie? Do you love Lake Placid? Do you hate it? Who's your favorite character? Were we too hard on Bill Pullman and Oliver Platt? Did the sheriff really know sarcasm? Are we being dickheads about this? Edit. ATGNAT podcast at gmail.com if you want to email us. We've got a Patreon. We got YouTube memberships if you want to take advantage of that. It's day 7. Week 1 is in the books, Tim. We've survived 1 week as we head into the 2nd week of October.
I'm
Hopefully
excited.
you guys have taken advantage of all the October goodness, AMC Fear Fest, and all the horror movies that are out there. YouTube does love October, and horror YouTubers, this is what they live for. Tim, anything you want to say while I look for the closing, whatever the call it?
Oliver Platt is the male version of Elizabeth Banks.
Okay.
Elizabeth Banks is the female version. I guess I need to say that because she came after. She's that person from the last 10 years who gets a lot of roles in movies, but she's just terrible.
They hand you a ton of money.
Right.
And they say, Tim, we want you to remake Lake Placid.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you go out and who do you cast as the billionaire Hector Oliver Platt character?
And money's not an issue?
Well, yeah, obviously they're not. You have enough money that you can go get anybody. Not that they'll agree, but you'll be able to offer what people want. Who do you? Okay, this is fun right here at the end.
You got to, if you want it to be that character, you have to go with Ryan Reynolds.
I think that's a better character.
He's the king of the hill in 2023, and that's a character made for him. And he could pull that off. That's like, yeah.
Who do you make Bridget Fonda?
God, just anybody. Just you save your money and you get somebody like Megan Fox on the Bridget Fonda. Like you just get absolutely anybody and you cut all the lines and make her say nothing.
Who's the sarcastic sheriff?
Ooh. Your turn. Who's the sarcastic sheriff?
Dude, I can cast. You be thinking about the sheriff. You be thinking about the guy that's game warden. So my sarcastic sheriff is going to be The Rock.
Oh, dude, I don't know.
Hold on, wait for it. My chick is going to be that chick that was in Barbie, whatever her name is. Margot Robbie. My game warden is going to be. I wanted to go with Ryan Reynolds as my sheriff because he's got the sarcastic remarks, but I just went with The Rock because he can pull it off and he's jacked. And in my version, The Rock would die at the end of it.
Right.
The game warden, I would have to go. It's got to be somebody that is low key. I almost want to go with Jay Baruchel as my game warden guy. He's lanky and unassuming. That could get the girl. And then my billionaire playboy is I would offer half the budget and let it be Elon Musk.
God, just make him be the movie.
Yes,
dude, your movie. If you put him in a movie, you would make all of your money back and then some. Like all of your trailers are all of his scenes, and everyone's going to show up. God, that's genius. And he'd totally do it. He would totally do it. He would offer to design. It's like, I'm going to come up with a design for a robot that hypothetically would go under and search for the crocodile. Like this would be up his alley. That's unbeatable. That's untouchable.
Elon Musk would be my Hector.
When is he going to be in a movie?
I don't know, but he would be my playboy in a heartbeat.
God, man, well done.
And we went off the rails here.
We had to. It was either that or talk about Lake Placid. So,
all right, Tim. I'll see you next week.
Later, man.